The very design of the House of Commons chamber is adversarial, and we have had weeks of angry confrontations over the PM's behaviour, his character and his fitness to lead. But today, the atmosphere shifted because the main parties now have a common enemy.
Putin has invaded a sovereign European nation. It does have my support, and if it's used, we will support it.
But Labour want Boris Johnson to go further with sanctions and military support, which is why the Prime Minister preempted some of that with this.
The UK will shortly be providing a further package of military support to Ukraine.
Now, Sir Keir's advisers say they chose to ask questions on sanctions because they know many backbench Tory MPs want tougher action. The Labour leader is also keen to show his party is strong on defence and security, in contrast with criticisms of his predecessor, Jeremy Corbyn. And to prove that very point, I spotted the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, and his Labour shadow, John Healey, standing side by side next to the Speaker's chair and leaving the chamber together. And there were moments when Boris Johnson praised the man who spent weeks attacking him.
And I'm grateful, by the way, for the general support that the opposition have given. And, Mr. Speaker, I'm genuinely grateful for the tone of his last question.
But a small group of left-wing Labour MPs are critical of NATO, and what they argue is the organisation's eastward expansion. Boris Johnson made sure to exploit that split.
Something that would be strong, Mr. Speaker, would be to take the whip away from the 14 members of the Labour Party who say that the aggressor in Ukraine is NATO. That would be a strong thing to do.
Well, our analysis of Keir Starmer's language today shows one of the words he used most was support, which you can see right here. That in itself is pretty rare. But the Labour leader was not completely supportive and questioned the Conservative Party's record of receiving donations from individuals with links to Russia.
The flood of foreign money drowning our politics. We can all now see how serious this is.
The largest single corporate donation to the Labour Party came from a member of the Chinese Communist Party.
At this moment, as the House agreed yesterday, we have to stand united. And I'm not going to be deflected from it.
Sky News analysis of Boris Johnson's language today shows his change in tone. In particular, the PM, as you can see here, stressed how grateful he was for opposition support. The word together also coming up. Political parties working together, as well as Western nations. And in another old PMQs trick, Mr Johnson had clearly been anticipating questions about the UK broadcasting licence of the Kremlin-backed TV channel RT, formerly Russia Today, and so was primed to say this.
My right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, has already asked Ofcom to review that matter.
And as soon as the SNP's Westminster leader, Ian Blackford, stood up, there were shouts and jeers from the Tory benches, including from the Culture Secretary, Nadine Dorries, who had earlier been sharing a pack of polos with fellow heckler Michael Gove. The reason for that heckle, Alex Salmond, Scotland's First Minister for 7 years and the SNP's leader for 20, who has now left the party and presents a show on the controversial TV channel.
Join me every Thursday on the Alex Salmond Show.
Coming from somebody whose very own Alex Salmond is a leading presenter on, as far as I know, on Russia Today.
Well, whatever happens next in Ukraine, defence and security are sure to feature more regularly at PMQs. In the coming days, expect further pressure on both the Conservatives and Labour parties about questionable political donations and on the government as calls for tougher action on Russia get louder.